Alright, so welcome to this Armies of Ruin tutorial. So you're going to see right here at the beginning of the level, I'm going to go up and blow up the rocks blocking this keep. And we just need to blow those up so that we can run through there later. And right at the beginning of the level is a good time because there's nothing else you really need to be doing right now. I'm going to run back here to the Allied base and I'll explain why I ran here in a second. But first, you're going to see the message, help Emperor battle the Dark Forces. After you see that message appear on screen, you need to get 50 kills. And the reason being is that's the trigger to trigger the proxy message and proxy spawning in a little bit. And you had to get it before the who is this soldier anyway message that Impa just said. You had to get the 50 kills before that. So you have about 2 messages to do that. And then after you get those 50 kills, you can trigger proxy and she spawns. Now the reason I ran back to Castle Keep is there's 2 reasons. One is because there's less allies here, so there's less things for the game to load, and the game lags less back here. And when this game lags, it slows down the messages because it has to actually load all the messages. And so trying to prevent the game from lagging is a good thing. Also, the reason I ran back here is you'll notice that a fraction of the enemy forces actually followed me back into the Allied base. And those enemies, for some reason, are programmed to aggro onto Link and follow him regardless of where he goes in the level. And if you don't kill them, they can show up later and mess up the Zelda escort near the end of the level. So I run back to the Allied base to try to pull them back and kill them. And you notice I ran over here, and you just have to get to that door before the Wizro message. And you run into it, and then you're in the Volga fight. And I just throw some C3s at him until he finally decides to leave. Now you notice he dropped a heart and a material. If you turn around and deload him after you kill him, he actually will disappear without an animation, which lags a little less, but he doesn't drop that heart. And I prefer for him to drop that heart in case I need to grab it in a moment. But after you kill him, you run through the door, you kill the Lizalfos as you just saw. You'll notice I didn't use a beam attack to kill him, and that's because I'm trying to limit my kills. Because I'm going to want to get a lot of kills later, and I do need to stay under a certain kill amount. So I try to kill that Lizalfos with just a weak combo so I get as little collateral as possible. Because the enemies up here don't really matter when they die. And then you just come up here and you wait for the mine entrance to open. And run down here and get this chest. It is pretty important to be near the door right when it opens, because if you don't get that chest immediately, you can get an extra message. And right now we're going to go on and run back, and I didn't get hit here, but if I did get hit here, I could have grabbed the heart that dropped from Volga, which is why I like to leave it. And there's a little bit of RNG here. There's a bunch of high-rank captains around Zelda, and sometimes they can get low on health. And if they get low enough, they can give you a message here about needing help, and then when you get into this keep, the doors won't open. But this time we didn't get that, so the doors open and we run immediately to Zelda, and that's actually very important. The next part of the level doesn't start until you join with Zelda, so it's important to get there as soon as possible. And now you can see I'm going around, I'm killing the health barred enemies around Zelda, and you really just need to focus on those and some of the, kill some AoE and little guys in the process, and your allies will clean up most of the other stuff for the escort later. And you see Dark Forces receive reinforcements. That's around when I want to be at Central Keep and want to be trying to take it. And you're going to see Impa has a message right now about getting to Zelda, and then Zelda's going to have a response. That message set is actually skippable, but it's completely random. It's based on, like, the trigger for that message is based on when Zelda and Impa actually get close to each other. And sometimes with the way the messages work, that message will never play. But this time it played at a pretty normal time. And you'll notice that I waited to kill Eastfield Keep. And the reason I waited to kill Eastfield Keep is to skip a message later. And you want to wait until the game gives you the message, capture Central Keep and Eastfield Keep. And you get that mission in the right side of the screen. Then you can take that keep. If you take it earlier, you're going to get an extra message later. You're going to see right now I'm going and blowing up the wall at Fairy Fountain. It's important to blow up that wall as soon as possible, because when you blow up that wall a little later in the messages, it'll say that you opened up the Fairy Fountain, and if you don't immediately open it, Zelda will tell you to open it. And also, once you open up the Fairy Fountain, Zelda ignores all enemies and runs straight to the Fairy Fountain. And you're going to see that I didn't clear all the enemies. I instead prioritized running to Zelda. The reason being is that when Zelda's loaded, she moves a lot faster, and I need this escort to go very, very, very quickly. So I went and loaded her about as soon as I was comfortable with, and just kind of cleared on the way back. And the reason being is that you're going to see there's going to be Link is captured the central keep. If the escort goes slow enough that Zelda isn't in the fairy fountain at the end of that message, you'll get messages about Link having 500 kills as well, and that's very slow. We don't want that. So it's important to load Zelda as much as possible during the escort. But now the escort's over, we've used the magic circle, we're going to run out, and I'm going to almost forget this magic jar here, but you do need to get full magic for Dodongo. And I'm going to run down here to this south keep. Reason being is that this south keep can get low enough health that it'll go into peril, and it can give you a message for that. So you need to come down here and clear a little bit to make sure that doesn't happen. But you need to watch your kills. You don't want to go over 1,500 kills, because if you go over 1,500 kills, the game's going to give you text about you being at 1,500 kills. So you do need to throttle your kills a little bit there. And that's kind of why I didn't use beams in the Lizalfos when I was clearing that keep. But then we run up here to where Dodongo is going to come through, and during this Wizrobe message, we use our Focus Spirit. And now we just wait for Dodongo to come through the wall. And you're going to notice that there's no real messages when Dodongo is trying to come through, but there's a pause. There can be messages there. And if you take the second keep, the Eastfield keep, during the mission that happened before the Zelda escort, if you take that keep too early, then the game will tell you that Link has captured Eastfield keep during that. Or if you get 1,500 kills, that's where the 1,500 kills text would happen. So that's kind of why we're trying to limit messages as much as possible, so that Dodongo can get through the wall as soon as possible, and then we can kill him. And killing him is a pretty simple affair. You just end your Focus Spirit to, knock him down, and then do 2 full C4 combos with the full aerial and slam downs, and then he dies. There's a Wizrobe message right here. Well, it says Dark Wizard. We all know it's Wizrobe. And that message that just went by is actually skippable, but it's completely random. I've only seen it skip twice, but if for some reason you save a bunch of time on armies and you don't know why, it could be that message. It is to note, though, that the in-game timer ends the moment you kill Dodongo, so that message is irrelevant for ILs. It's only a real-time issue. And now we're just kind of waiting for the level to end. And that was Armies of Ruin, the way I do it. The big thing to note is make sure that the escort goes well and load Zelda as much as possible. That's probably the most important thing is Armies, is making sure the Zelda escort goes well. And you see that's a 614, that's a pretty solid Armies. So thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.